All Progressive Congress in Adamawa State has said that the victory of the party's governorship candidate in Edo State is a confirmation that President Bola Tinubu's 2027 re-election is a sealed political deal. The Adamawa APC chairman, Idris Shaibu, who spoke to correspondents in an exclusive telephone interview on Tuesday, said the Edo State election was a confirmation that the president is on the right track. The chairman said that the president's programs had the selling points that made Nigerians come out and vote for the party in Edo State. He said that it is very clear to PDP that Adamawa State will automatically return to APC. In a swift reaction, the Adamawa People's Democratic Party described the Edo governorship poll as a daylight political robbery. The Adamawa PDP chairman, Abubakar Shehu, said that his party's candidate won the highest legitimate votes cast during the Saturday governorship election. While speaking at the press conference on Tuesday in Yola, Shehu said that in the desperation of APC to win the Edo governorship poll, the party violently manipulated the election to subvert the wishes of the Edo people. Interesting, Adamawa, APC and PDP fighting over elections that happened in Edo State. Now, isn't that a test of what is to come in Adamawa State? But then what do you have to say with what the APC has said in Adamawa State, saying that the victory of APC in Edo State is significant to the 2027 presidential elections, that the president's re-election is a sealed political deal? How do you see, how possible is that?
Okay, on the issue of him saying that APC winning Edo State, will boost the chances of President Tinubu for 2027, that is absolutely correct.
How so?
Absolutely correct, because every election is local, and for the APC to have gotten one more state, what that means is that from now to that 2027, APC will consolidate power in Edo State. That means that they will have more supporters and things like that who eventually will vote for President Tinubu if he's to contest in 2027. That aspect is correct, because in the election is a game of numbers. The more numbers you have, the more chances you're winning is. Okay. Now, but for him to say that it is the people of Edo State voted massively for APC because of the programs of the president, I completely want to disagree with that.
All right.
I think he was just sounding politically correct to say that, and also to promote and project, Tinubu. We are all in this country. I'm not saying that the president's policies are too bad, but what I'm trying to say here is that election is about interest. Even if the president is completely bad and Nigerians are dying, it has nothing to do with Edo State. The people of Edo State may have said that maybe the APC is, has what it takes to, prepare them into prosperity and all of that. So what I'm trying to say now is that interest is what determines the outcome of votes, not because of the programs of the president that is far from Edo State. So that's what he's just trying to sound politically correct.
All right.
Then on the part of PDP, claiming that the election was a daylight robbery and all of that, it is normal when people lose the election. They want, especially in Nigeria, they will cry for, even before the election. You saw the dust it generated with the resident electoral commissioner, Wike, this, that. So all these things is just normal for Nigerian politicians. The court is there. If they feel that they were robbed, they should approach the court with all the evidences. Like I said the last time I came here on this election issue, election is conducted from the unit level. Every party that is interested in running election, that has the wherewithal to run election, should ensure that every unit in that election is manned by one of their persons. And the person, before the person sign whatever result, it should be reflective of the actual vote of the people. So these are enough evidence for you to approach the court with. They should stop, inflaming the society with all kind of rhetorics, All these things, before you know it, will snowball into some kind of violence. The court is there. Let the PDP that have lost the election, as announced by ANEC, approach the court to seek for redress.
All right. Now, you made three very salient points, but I want us to dwell a bit on your first point when you talked about Edo State, APC clinching Edo State being a pointer to the fact that APC will win or will return to power at the federal in 2027. Now, when you look at Edo politics appears to be slightly different from the usual state politics, in the sense that in 2023, the last presidential elections, APC was the ruling party as at 2023 under Buhari. But in Edo State, Labour Party won overwhelmingly. Recall that APC had federal might, PDP had power of incumbency, and all these things play out during elections. Yet, in Edo State in 2023, it was the power of the masses that was clear. It was as clear as it was a landslide win, you know. Edo State voted massively for Labour Party. How do you now think that in PDP in 2027, those people will suddenly change and begin to consider the interests of the federal?
I said earlier here that every election is local. We have our ways. We have our ways of doing things. Now, when you talk about the masses voting massively for the Labour Party, that is true, simply because the P2B effect, as at that time, you know, swayed the masses into voting for change, given the fact that the president at the time, Buhari, you know, was not, you know, doing completely well for Nigerians. P2B was like something different coming to change the narrative, so people keyed in. Now, for 2020, the next cycle of election, which is in 2027, the APC have already won the Edo State. It is more work for the governor and the leaders of the party and followers of the party to convince people by doing what is necessary. As a leader, if you begin to put some of those your policies and programs that is affecting the life of the people, those same masses you're talking about, who are active contributors to what we are doing, you can change the narrative. You can sway them into voting you. That's exactly the point I'm making. You now have the powers. You
know that when it comes to the state, at the state level, people can be swayed into voting a governor, a sitting governor, you know, based on the impact he has made.
Okay, in their lives before he
But when it becomes at the presidential level, the dynamics appear to be
very different. That is where they have to do more work. This is you have to do what we call even door-to-door sensitization, reaching out to people, appealing to their consciences on why they should vote your party at the national level.
Now, when you talk about more work by the states in order to clinch votes, you know, for the federal, that appears to be because the dynamics of state elections is entirely different from what is obtainable at the federal elections. Now, when a governor puts in more work as an incumbent and who will have second tenure, who will go for a rerun, people would tend to naturally vote for him, go for him. But when at the federal level, the policies of the federal is negatively impacting the lives of the people at the grassroots, people will vote. You will recall that in many states during the 2023 elections, some states massively voted for Labour Party, but Labour Party lost at the governorship election. Labour Party also lost the state House of Assembly, even federal seats. That's a clear transition. So what happens at the federal? It's very different from what happens at the state. Probably because when it comes to the state, people know you one-on-one. They can relate with you one-on-one. They can tell your antecedents. No, but at the federal level, people will judge based on the policies of the government, how it has affected their lives positively or negatively.
Beyond that, we must give kudos to P2B. I have been following elections in this country for a very long time.
Yes.
We've never had it in recent times. We've never had it this way.
Of course.
P2B came with a narrative that changed the perception and mindset of the electorate. That was why you saw that, you know, what played out in that election. The dynamics. People voted here for national election and voted differently for it was because of P2B.
All right.
So what I'm saying is the leadership of the APC in the state, having won the election in Edo State, have a lot of work to do to convince the people by, you know, doing the things that are right for the people and also appealing to their consciences to vote for your party at the national level. This is possible. This is possible.
Well, even when the policies of the national is affecting the state, affecting the citizens of the state. Make it make sense to me, George.
How?
Okay, let's break it. Let's break it down. Obaseki in Edo State, to a large extent, suffered political loss because a lot of persons in Edo State, and I travel to Edo State from time to time, have said to a large extent that, I mean, they work. Obaseki didn't do much in Edo State, going by the increased FAC allocation and also the fact that Edo State is also among the countries receiving 13% derivation fund. Now, Edo people to a large extent are very enlightened, and that played a major part. Now, when you also look at the other variable of PDP having internal crisis they couldn't reconcile, and a lot of political bigwigs and heavyweights leaving a PDP and pitching their tent with APC, all those things played out. However, when you look at the issue critically, part of the argument a lot of people had was that Obaseki did not work, right? And now they, for some strange reason, they left Apata and went for the APC, even though P2B was present in Edo State. The P2B influence to a large extent did not hold water in Edo State election, because even some obedience defected, pledged their support for APC 2 days to the election as well. I was following the elections in Edo State very closely. Now, all these things played out, entirely different dynamics at the state level. Now, if the federal government is taking decisions and making policies that are negatively affecting the people, prior to the emergence of Tinubu, fuel, we were having that conversation off camera. Fuel was less than 400 naira. Now you're buying fuel at 1,200, 1,300 right now. And not just that, you know, do we talk about tariff hike in electricity? Do we talk about food scarcity? Do we talk about increased insecurity because of hunger? I mean, there are a lot of things we can talk about. And it is negatively affecting people. Now, that will be an act of God. That will be an act of God. Probably you could say rigging elections. Yes. But if you are to look at things, unless something happens between now and 2027, unless probably the government starts coming out to break down these policies and how it has future benefits, probably right now, we are at the incubation stage of these policies, and probably in the next 3-4 years, we begin to reap the dividends. Then the government has to engage massive orientation of the masses for that to even happen. So how do you shift these dynamics that you as a governor did a lot of good work, and the federal at the same time, even though you belong to the same party, are churning out policies that are negatively affecting people? How do you expect the people to vote for the same person just because they love you?
I said something earlier that we must give kudos to P2B for the change in the way we see elections and the way the masses turned out to vote massively for, you know, a party that is not well known, that is not well rooted. So kudos must be given to P2B. We've not seen it like this before. Yeah. Then again, I said that every election is local. The governor of, what they call it, the incoming governor of Edo State from the APC, we have a lot. Yeah, we have a lot to do by way of performance and by way of reach out. When I say every election is local, what I mean by that is that the people, the politicians there, are the ones that knows this electorate. They are related to them one way or the other. There are ways that they can come. You have to, in politics, just like the way people go fishing, you know, for Christ. Christians go fishing for Christ. That's how politicians will go fishing for these electorates. You reach out to them door to door. You convince them. You can even use what you're doing as a state governor to convince them that the person that is coming, you know, will also do well. Even though so far, you can give them reasons. This is Nigeria. The way we look at it,
you know that there is a transition right now in elections and politics in Nigeria. So there appears to be a transition where people are no longer loyal to parties. Their loyalties, to a large extent, are individual.
I agree with you to an extent, but the number is very minute. The number is very minute. There are very few persons that can, on their own, say, I am not voting here, I'm not voting here, I'm voting here, based on conviction. It is not usually like that at the local and grassroots level. When you go to some of these communities, now education also plays a role. So people don't even know who, you know, these candidates are.
Yes.
So it is about the leader who lives in that area, who is known to the politicians, who is also a politician, who one way or the other have been assisting. Forget that we live in we live in urban centers where it appears that many people are wise. Go to some of these rural settings. You find out that most people there do not even have a say. Like one of my politician friends would tell me, even if the person is a nitwit, but provided the person have a thumb, the person is relevant politically. Such people will be given what they eat and things like that, and they will be instructed on where to vote. It's a drive. It's a vote that is not rigged. The person actually voted, but the person was swayed into voting without even knowing the person is voting for, and you know what the person is coming with. So, and if you look at people who live in rural areas, they are more in numbers than those who live in urban centers. They are more.
So just give them the logo. You know, because this brings this brings to memory the election in Imo State. You know, when some of the illiterate women, they will now say, umbrella, it's umbrella. Umbrella, that is PDP. Umbrella. So they will now say, umbrella is my daughter. Show me, where is the umbrella? And these party agents, you know, will now take and say, this is the moment they see that umbrella, even if you're pointing papa, mama, picking, the person will be pointing at the umbrella. So yeah, this plays a major role. The illiteracy of the voters, the electorates, particularly in the rural areas. And the rural areas, they have more numbers
compared to what people who live at the urban centers. So when you look at all these things, that's why I said the man will have a role to play. It is not this. When
these rural people love him, when he has done so much to sway the emotions of the voters to his advantage, then he can now build on that advantage to educate them to vote for his party at the federal level. That's the point you're making.
Yeah. If you analyze the last presidential election, you look at the areas where P2B won, are mostly urban centers. Even in the states where he won, look at the vote that is coming from the urban centers.
Because there were people that were mostly on social media, they were enlightened, they were engaged a lot on social media. So
these
they understood
the rural dwellers, most of them don't even understand what is at play. Their own is that they have their PVC.
They don't understand
whoever is the political leader in that area that comes and tell them this is where we are going, they key in. And they vote alongside without knowing who the candidate is. So that is why I said every election is local.
And that's why you say it will play out. It will favor
it will continue to play out.
Edo State.
It will continue to play out.